Hey everybody, welcome back to Thistle Hill Farmstead. Today we're going to be doing a little project on our Honda TRX-250 ATV. Recently it's had a problem with the starter, so in this video we're going to replace the starter motor on that ATV. We're going to do a couple other things to it also in preparation for replacing that starter. I'll show you how to test the battery, how to test the solenoid, and then finally how to test the starter. So I'll put those timestamps down in the description of this video so that if you want to jump right to the section you want to look at, you can do that and not have to go through all of my dialogue of talking about things that you don't want to listen to. So check that out below and let's get started. I've got my buddy Charlie here, my helper, just on the garage floor there, waiting. I think he really would rather me go riding than work on the ATV. But what started this whole scenario of having to replace the starter engine or the starter motor on the ATV was it really began to get hard to start. And what I mean by that is you would press the starter button and sometimes it would like really very slowly just before it started up. And then sometimes you would hear the solenoid just click, like click, 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 and the starter motor wouldn't do anything. So my first thought was that the battery had just kind of given up the ghost. And silly me, instead of testing the battery, I just said, you know, heck, I'm going to go buy a new battery for it. So I went up to my local Napa Auto Parts store, and that's normally where I get the batteries for my ATVs and lawnmowers and things. And I just picked up a new battery. So I brought it back. Put it on the charger for a little while and charged it up, popped it in the ATV, and what do you know? I had the same symptoms with the new battery as I had with the old battery. So lesson learned, I guess I should have tested that battery to make sure it was the battery before I did all this other work, but I didn't do that because I was so confident that, hey, it's just the battery, because 90% of the time, that's what it is. So what I did then was just started going through and testing the different components of the electrical system. And I have the shop manual for this ATV. So I'll put a little screen capture of the page that shows you how to do all the testing up on the screen here. So you can take a look at that. And then I'll walk you through how, after the fact, I tested the battery to make sure it was good. I tested the solenoid, the starter solenoid, and then finally we will make sure there's power down to the starter and kind of eliminate everything. My gut feel is that it's a starter, obviously, because I've ordered the starter, I have it in hand, and we're going to go ahead and replace that, but I'll show you how to do all the other stuff. So let's get at it. So the first thing we need to do is get into the battery compartment so that we can check the battery out. And the way you do that is on the left-hand side of the seat, there's a little lever that you just pull up, releases the back of the seat, and you slide the seat back because it has a little clip here in the front that holds it. And then you can just take the seat off. And then once you have the seat off, you have access to the battery. Now, we are going to also test the solenoid, which is back here under this little black plastic piece, and I'll show you how to take that off also, because we'll need to take that off to easily access the starter solenoid. The next thing we want to do is remove this piece of black plastic here so that we can get into the starter solenoid area. And the way you do that is first you just pull this little rubber tab here to release the tail light, and gives you access to the little toolbox area. And then to get this off, there's actually some tabs about here and here on each side. And then there's some little tabs in the front right here that you need to pull out. And you could just do this by hand. Just be careful that you don't be too aggressive and break anything. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look about right here. I think, yes, that's where one tab is. And then another one is about right in here somewhere. Let's see. Okay, it's right there. So there are the two tabs. And what I've done is just taken a flathead screwdriver and pushed in a little bit to release those tabs. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. You hear it pop when I push in. Okay, Now I've got those tabs released, and we should be able to slide this whole piece back. And we don't really have to take it out. I mean, it slides back here, and it can just stay there. And now we have access to the starter solenoid and the battery terminals, so we can do whatever testing we need to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is test the voltage on the battery. And I have my multimeter here, and I'm going to set my multimeter to volts DC. And you see on this particular meter, it tells me here that it's DC voltage. And then I will just take my leads, and I'm going to put the negative to the negative lead here on the battery. And then I need to pull off this little cap, or pull it to the side. And then I'll put the positive on the positive side, and let's see what we get. So we have about 12.5 volts. This is a 12-volt battery, so that's pretty good. We should be seeing maybe 12.5 to 13 volts, but that tells me that that's good. So the battery is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and start the ATV up also and test the voltage on the ATV while it's running. So now I'm going to do the same thing. And now you see we have about 13 volts, and if I rev the engine here, let's see if I can do that. Need to hold these on a little better. There we go. So you see now it's at about 13. So now you can see with the engine running, it's going as high as 14. So it tells me too that the charging system on the ATV is working fine. So the next thing I want to test is the starter solenoid, which is located right here. And if you pull back these two protective covers, you can see the terminals for the solenoid. And what happens here is when you press the starter button, there is a current signal that comes through these wires on the back down into the solenoid and actuates a magnet that pulls up a little flat bar that then connects these two basically terminals, so the current can flow through and down to the starter. So I don't need to connect to that one. I'll connect to this one and the ground, and then we'll press the starter button and see what kind of voltage we get there. So now we're going to test the starter solenoid, which is right here. And what I've done to do this test is I've hooked one of my lead wires to this side of the terminal, and the other is connected to the battery ground. And what I'm going to do here is turn the key on, press the starter button, and we should see a current flow through the solenoid. And it's going to be a momentary current, so I'm going to try to catch it on my multimeter here if I can. Okay, let me see if I can press the starter at the same time that I grab the hold here. Let's try it. Okay, so I was able to grab that. If you can see, it looks like about 11 volts, give or take. So that tells me that I am getting good current through the solenoid. The last thing to check is we can check the current down at the starter. So now I've got the red lead going down to the starter terminal, and I'm going to do the same test, press the starter button, and see what kind of voltage I get down there. Okay, so there we go. I was able to catch it. So it looks like we're getting about 10.9 to 11 down at the starter also. So what that tells me is that the starter is bad because I'm getting current flow through the solenoid and through the down to the starter, but as you could hear, the starter was not even moving. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the starter motor on this ATV. So let's get to it. The starter on this particular ATV is right down here. I'm on the right side of the ATV, and it is just right here. So it's got a couple of bolts. I believe it's got 2 bolts holding it in, and then it's got 1 bolt holding the electrical lead on. So it's basically 3 bolts we have to take out. But I'm going to go ahead and pop the side cover off also, so we can get a little more access to that. So let's do that. So these little hex screws here are 5mm. So I have my 5mm socket and ratchet. There we go. So that's 1, 2, and this one is right under here. Might actually have to get an Allen wrench to get that one off, but let's go ahead and take these other 3 or other 2 out that we can get to. That one is tucked right up under there, right in line with the brake lever. So let me get a 5mm bent Allen wrench and we'll get that one off. So I have my 5mm bent Allen wrench, and let's see if I can get that one in here. It's still a tight fit. Just barely squeezes past that lever. Man, that one's tight. Oh, I'm going the wrong way with it. Helps if you go the right way. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, let me see if I can get this end on here now. And just work it out. Okay, and of course it goes on the floor twice, 3 times. What's wrong with my little magnetic thing there? All right, and then this comes off. There's a little tab right down here that holds it. You have to pull. Also, I'm gonna go see if I can get to that underneath and pull on it. Come on. It's just a little, like a tab that sticks in back there. Should be able to pull straight out and get it off. Let me get a screwdriver. Or I have these fancy little pry bar things here. Let me see if I can get it off with that. And I'll show you down in there what it looks like. Let me get the camera up. It's right there. So you see that little rubber grommet right there. So let me see if I can just pry this off. There we go. See it coming out? There we go. Popped it out. All right. So that takes that off. There we go. That's what I was talking about. There, it's just a little rubber thing. So that gives us nice access to the starter now. And we'll take this couple of screws out of the back and we'll be able to pull it out. So back here in the back are the 2 screws that hold it in. One is right there and one is right above it, right up there. And I believe those are 10mm. So let me get my 10mm socket and some extensions. And we'll see if we can get in there. And then also we'll need to take off, kind of hard to see, but right there where I'm pointing is the electrical lead that goes to it. So we'll need to take that off too. So let me get some sockets. Okay, so I think I've got the camera positioned now. The 2 bolts that I'm after are here and here. And then the one that's behind this grommet, of course you can't see it for this thing here, but let me see if I can get that out. Kind of tough to get up in here with your hand. Let's see. Okay, there's one loose. Okay, there's the second one loose. So now it's just a matter of keeping those out. There's one. There's the second one. And then I'll need to take that electrical connection off also. And then there's an O-ring that will be holding that starter in also. So we'll have to pull that off. Alright, so I've got the camera in a better position. Now the question is whether I can get in there and work with the camera there. But right there is that electrical connection that I need to take off to then be able to pull the starter out. So let's see if we can get to it. Right over here. Let's see. If I can get my hand in there and just pull that little plastic piece back. And there is a bolt in there. I believe that might be a 10 millimeter also. Let's see if that is the case. So let me see if I can come in here over the camera. This is the joys of trying to work and film at the same time. Okay. Let's see if we can get it loose now. Yeah, there we go. All right, got it loose. Let's just get it off here. Of course, everything is dirty under here because we ride in the mud all the time. Okay, so I got it off now. And then that wire should come off of there. Let's see if it does. Yep, there we go. So we got the wire off now. And then I'll just need to wiggle this out. So I'm going to have to take my little pry bar here and just push back on this a bit. Should just come right out. Just work it out. Okay, there you go. It's out. So here I have the replacement starter and a replacement solenoid. Went ahead and got both just in case. I didn't know exactly which was wrong. And I will put links to both of these parts in the description below. So if you're interested in getting those, you can. So here's the new starter. And I want to make sure this is the same one, same kind. It almost looks a little bigger than this one. So let me see. And it is indeed bigger and a different type. So that is not the one I wanted. Not sure if that'll work or not. Bigger sometimes can be better, but let me check and see. It did say it was for a TRX-250. So they do look a bit different. The casing on this one looks bigger, but as far as the diameter, I measured the diameters of the shaft that slides in, that looks the same, and the position of the mounting holes looks the same. So I think it's going to work. We'll try it. And what I'm going to do too is I'm going to take this little rubber guard off of this original one and put it onto the new one so that everything will go back together the way it should. So just take this off. I'm doing that just by taking that little screw off, and it slides right off the post. And then I'll see if we can put it on this one. Take that screw off. Okay, so I've got all that off. I'm just going to slide this little post back on there. And let's see, maybe I'll leave that one of those washers under here so I'll have something to sit on. And then I'll put my screw back on. So I've got this on, and I wound up using those original washers that were here, because what was happening if I didn't, this stud was sticking up past this plastic piece and the cover would not have snapped on there. So I used these, and even though I tightened it up, it has a little bit of movement there because there's an inside washer here that kind of moves around. So that'll give me the leeway to move this thing around a bit. So let's see if we can get it in. I'm going to put a little bit of lubricant on this. Let me see if I can just get a little bit of grease on my finger, oil on my fingers here, a little bit on this O-ring just so it will slide in a little bit better. And let's see if we can get it in there. Oh yeah, it slid right in. Okay. And it does line up. The holes line up. Everything looks good. Let me go ahead and put the electrical connection on, and then we'll go to the back and put the screws back in it. So you can see this one is a little bit different because there is the electrical connection on the top instead of directly on the back. So I'm going to have to see if I can get that wire to twist around and go up onto that post. Okay, that wasn't too bad at all. I just had to get down from the bottom and get it in there. So I've got the connection on there, the lead on, so I just need to put the screw on, and I think we'll be good to go. I don't know if you're seeing that or not. There it is, right down there. So I got the screw on there, and let me see if I can get something down here now and kind of tighten it up. If I can get this on it. Let me see if I can get finger down in here, get this tilted over. Okay, got it on there. So let's see if I can get it tightened up now. Excellent, excellent. Let's see. Okay, got it on there. So that takes care of the electrical connection part. Let's see if I can get the little boot down over it. Back on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's sorted. Now, let's get the 2 screws in the back and try it out. So as you can see there, the bolt holes line up perfectly. So now the challenge is going to be to get the screws back in under here. Let's see if I can work my hand in here. Okay, there's one started. Let's see if I can get the other one started. Come on, get that thing out of the way. Screw them in as much as I can with my hand. And then we'll get the socket on there and tighten them up. All right. That's as far as I can get them with my hand. Let's see if I can get the socket on here now. Alright. A couple of more turns. Alright, I think I got you back up there. I knocked you over for a minute. Let's see if I can get the socket on here. Get real tight on that one. Get real tight on this one. All right, so she is in there. Now comes the moment of truth. Time to test it. All right, let's see what we get. Let me take my battery charger off. Get all my tools out of the way here. And let's try it. Contact. Perfect. Contact. Yes. Excellent. So that's what it was, the starter motor all along. Okay, so now all we have to do is kind of do everything we did in reverse order. We'll just put our little side cover back on with the bolts in it. We'll put our seat back on, and then we'll be done. Well, there you have it, replacing the starter motor on a Honda TRX-250. It wasn't too bad. I had a little bit of a panic attack when the new part that I bought didn't look exactly like the old part, but that's kind of how it goes when you buy aftermarket parts sometimes. They don't exactly look the same, but we were able to make it work with no problem, so I think it'll be just fine. And again, thanks for watching, and if you've made it this far and you like this video, hit that like button. It really helps me out a lot, helps the channel out a lot, helps me to know that I'm making content that you like to see. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button, and remember to ring that bell notification so that anytime I post a new video, you'll get notified. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care. Here's a little bonus footage. For those of you who may be wondering what was wrong with this starter, listen to this. Can you hear that? And I'm really having to twist on it to start. So it is really crunchy in there. So I'm not sure if the brushes are gone in it or what happened to it. But if you want to see me take this apart and kind of figure out what's going on with it, just put it in the comments below. And if I get enough comments there that people are interested in seeing it, I'll take it apart and we'll take a look at it. I do have the manual that talks about how to take these apart, how to replace the brushes, etc. But the new one I bought was like $35, and for me, I think the brushes are about $8. So for me to take it apart and then worry that something else may go wrong with it, I just opted to buy the $35 new starter. Okay, thanks.